So I wanted to talk about Valencia FC, whatever you want to call them. They are in a bit of trouble right now, to say the very least. And I wanted to go over quickly why they're in such trouble, how they've become such a fallen giant of Spanish football, and what really the future lies in store for them, because it's relatively bleak, I would say. They are really having a horrible season in La Liga this season. And it's not come out of nowhere. They have struggled in recent times. They have flirted with relegation in recent times, but they have managed to avoid dropping down to the Segunda División in recent times, despite their struggles. They've managed to keep their heads just above water. And in truth, their last 5 games, they've won 3 of them. They're unbeaten in 3 matches, 2 wins in those last 3 as well. Their form is starting to turn around, but the fact remains is that Valencia are in 18th place. They are level on points with Las Palmas on 23 points, who were just above the dotted line. Valencia are just below it. So how did it end up here? How did a club that was in the Champions League final in the early 2000s, how did they drop all the way down to the bottom of La Liga? I haven't been in European competition for years now. How did this happen? Well, to put it simply, it's mismanagement. And the biggest reason why Valencia continue to struggle is because of the Nueva Mestalla. So now, if you know anything about Valencia, you'll know that they play at the Mestalla, which is a really incredible old football ground. But they tried to move out of the Mestalla a very long time ago. They tried to build their own stadium. And when I say try, is that it's half finished. It's a project that is still going on to this day. I think they started to build it in like 2008. But what happened in 2008? Financial crisis. The global financial crisis. The reason why, in truth, a lot of the depressing facts about life these days in Europe, it all stems back to 2008. And Valencia's troubles really do go back all that way too. They couldn't finish it. They didn't have the money to finish it. And since then, they are slowly trying to get it ready for the future, but it's never quite there. And when it's actually going to be built is anybody's guess, because the finances involved in upkeeping it and making sure that it's going to be a good stadium to move into are huge. On top of that as well, look how much stadiums have actually progressed in the last 10-20 years or so. You know, what would now be considered a modern gleaming example. Look at what Real Madrid have done to the Santiago Bernabeu. Look at what Barcelona are doing to the new Camp Nou. Look at Manchester City Stadium. Look at the difference between that and Tottenham Hotspurs. I'm not saying City Stadium is a bad stadium. It is not. It's a great stadium, but it is not a world-class stadium. It's not the very top of the tree now, is it? Because things move on. And they're constantly updating and improving these things at the end of the day. And Valencia, like I said, they've got that financial black hole they are trying to plug, but it's just never going to work. Who knows? Maybe one day they will eventually move into the Nueva Mestalla, but it's just, right now, it's just not going to look like it's happening. And because of that, they've got the financial issue with that too. They have to sell their best players, and they've sold a lot of their players for not the best prices over the past few years as well, to say the least. And like I said, they are struggling. You know, they've picked up in terms of the form recently. They have got themselves on the edge of survival. But this, like I said, this is a club that, you look at the size of this club, it is one of the biggest clubs in Spain. Yes, it is not a Real Madrid. It is not a Barcelona. Maybe not even a Real Madrid these days. But in terms of their overall support, you know, they're on an even keel for me at a minimum with the likes of Athletic Club Bilbao, Real Sociedad, Sevilla as well, Real Betis too, of course, from Seville. And yet they are mixing it up with relative minnows of the Spanish game in the form of Alaves, Las Palmas, Leganes. Espanyol aren't the biggest club either, of course. You know, they are way below what the potential of this fan base in this club should be. And they, like I said, they're just suffering because of it. I think it's almost inevitable that at some point Valencia will be relegated. They just do enough. They just get enough at the end of the day. They just do enough to survive season after season now, and they're just keeping their heads above water. But imagine if they get relegated to the Segunda Division. That drop in TV revenue would be disastrous for them, and you do worry about them. You do worry that they're going to go a really bad way with that. You know, I mean, as I record this, they did draw with Villarreal away from home. Now, I mean, that's a great result if I'm being totally honest. Villarreal having a good season again. They're a team that really punch above their weight. They're in 5th place, going for a Europa League spot. You know, they're a good team at the end of the day. Won the Europa League not too long ago, of course, as well. You know, so it just shows what you can do in La Liga when your club is run correctly. But for the longest time, Valencia haven't been, and they they are suffering so much because of it. I did an article a few years ago for the Football Chronicle, just going over how Valencia are struggling so much, how it got so bad, and since then it's just continued on the same vein. You know, I don't think they've played in the second division since the early 1980s, but they're going back there. It is such a difficult thing to get out for them, because you look at the stadium. It's like, how can they overcome those finances? How can they break out of that? It is a huge expense with no return right now. And they have to keep using the Mestalla with its relative limited resource. I mean, yeah, it's a big stadium, but in terms of quality kind of facilities, it's not going to be as good as what it could be. So then they lose out to rivals because of that. But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. I hope they get out of this mess and continue to survive. But it's just, for me, it's just kicking the can down the road. It's just prolonging the inevitable. That is just sad. That's just really sad. But guys, what do you think? What do you think about Valencia? What are your main memories of Valencia? I mean, they've brought up some incredible players over the years. David Silva used to play there. Juan Mata used to play there. Villa used to play there as well for Valencia back in the day. I feel like he did. But they've had to sell all these players over the years, and the good players now that they're getting are not as good as what they used to be. And it's a law of diminishing returns. And I don't know. I do fear for them. I really do, because unlike the likes of Alaves, Real Valladolid, Las Palmas, Leganes, Espanyol, even Getafe, you know, they are not a team that are built to survive in the second tier of Spanish football. It is a graveyard of fallen giants in there, and it's very hard to get in there. And you've got some clubs that are trying to break out, and very, small clubs that are very well run. Not too dissimilar to what you see in the Bundesliga 2 these days either. You know, we've got a real mix of small clubs that are being well run, trying to get up to the Bundesliga, and some massive clubs that are trying to get back up to the top tier. It's not that dissimilar in second division. I don't think so anyway. But your thoughts in the comments below, guys. And for much more content here on thefootballchronicle.com, please like, please share, and we'll see you very soon. Leave a comment too, like I said. And have a good one, guys. Have a great week ahead. See you soon.